Today I want to talk about the DJI Action 3 and why I think that its focus issue is not something that can be corrected with a firmware update. And the reason I say that is, well, just from previous experience with other action cameras, and I want to show you why I'm saying that this cannot be fixed via firmware if my suspicions are correct. So you've got the lens of a camera, and yes, this outer lens cap can be removed, just like the original Osmo Action, where you could remove this and put different ND filters on, or if you scratched it, you could replace it. But with the DJI Action 3, it's the basic same setup. So I'm going to take just a generic action camera just so you can kind of follow along with my mentality on why I think it's not able to be fixed via firmware. So a lens, just so a lot of people know, I'm just going to unscrew this. So here you have a lens and it's got glue on it. So we got the lens, we've got some glue on it. Why is there glue? Well, in the factory, when they set the focus on the lens, now these are not autofocus lenses. These lenses are what's called a fixed focus lens, which means once you set the focus, it's infinity focus all the way across. But you have to set the focus correctly. So imagine, if you will, let me get this completely screwed out here. So here's the lens. It's got the threads on it. So we got the lens, and you have this housing right here. Now this housing goes over, covers over the sensor. So if you look inside the camera, you can see the sensor in there, very, very small sensor. And you see that little outer ring, which is this right here. And that screws onto the circuit board where the sensor is. So with 2 screws, in some cases it's 4, but most of them it's 2 screws, and then you had a threaded mount, which is a 12 millimeter threaded mount. Now, just for a little caveat for some people that don't know, the original DJI Osmo Action had an 11 millimeter thread, so that made it a lot more difficult for people to try to change out lenses if they had damaged their lenses. So anyway, so this sits right up above the sensor of the camera, and at the factory they will screw, you have to be real careful not to cross thread these plastic screws. They will screw the lens on, and as they're screwing it in, they can tell, because the more that you screw it in, the closer that this back lens element gets to the sensor, and they start to calibrate the focus. So that's how focus is calibrated on these action cameras. Now, like with this one, when I put this one back in, what I'm going to have to do to get it refocused is I need to hook up an HDMI cable to it and hook it up to my monitor and turn it till I get the focus correct. So is there possibility of a slight little bit of correction that they can do with a lens that is out of focus via firmware update? I believe that they could to a degree, but how much that this one is out of focus or out of calibration, there's no way that a firmware update is going to be able to take care of that. Now, like I said, this is just my hypothesis. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I really believe that I am right, because when you look at my previous video and it's zooming in onto the statue's face, you just don't see that the statue is out of focus. If you look in the background, the trees are completely out of focus in the background. You look at all the decking around the side of the pool or around the edge of the pool, the blue with the little scroll work, that's even out of focus. And that was easily, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away from the cameras, easily, if not more. So if it's out of focus that far away, that means that the calibration that they did And I'm not sure how DJI does this, if they get this now. I heard through the grapevine that they get the sensor assembly. So what I say by sensor assembly, it's going to be the housing, the sensor itself, and the lens. I heard through the grapevine, and you know, I would be surprised if it's true, but that they get it from a third party. So when they get it from the third party, it's already been calibrated. Now, that's a good thing for DJI because it's not their fault, although they're a big enough company, and I love DJI products. I mean, I've got all their drones. I've got the, like I said, the original Osmo Action. I've got the Pocket One. All of my drones have all been fantastic products. You know, it's just a shame that it's like Ian Craig had said with his Action 2, he noticed the focus issue, but now with this Action 3, it's still there. And I'm very surprised that somebody has not caught that at DJI. I'm sure that there's somebody in quality control that just got fired, just got shown the door, and they're probably now a greeter out at Walmart. But anyway, that's how the focusing works on these Action cameras. These Action cameras do not have autofocus. They have fixed focus, and it's supposed to be set to infinity. And the only way to do that is to screw the lens in to where it's at the optimal distance from the back of the lens, where you see that little pink. That little pink is actually called an IR cut filter. But from the pink to the sensor of the camera, there has to be a certain amount of distance for it to be in focus correctly. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope it explains why they put the glue on, because once they get the focus set, they want to put some kind of glue on there. Usually it's a little bit of epoxy or a super glue type glue, but they'll put that on there just to make sure that the lens does not move and the focus doesn't change. I think it's a calibration issue. And will DJI do a recall? No, I don't think so, because when you do a recall, you admit fault. And, you know, I bring that up because it's like the GoPro Hero 11. Great camera. GoPro Hero 10, thumbs up, great camera. The GoPro Hero 9 has an audio issue. GoPro knows about it. GoPro did not issue a recall on it. They just kind of swept it under the rug, and it's gone, and nobody talks about it anymore because everybody has the 10 and the 11. I hope that DJI fixes this. I was so excited that they came out with the Action 3. And this thing is built like a tank. Nice big screen. User interface is always flawless with the DJI. I mean, I like the new magnetic clip design, although this bad boy is going back to DJI for a full refund, and because I don't think it can be fixed because of what I said earlier regarding the lens assembly was not calibrated correctly. Anyway, if you found this video helpful and it kind of explains the situation, definitely give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next review. Bye-bye.